have heard of this thing called the equal time rule, okay? It's an old FCC rule that applies only to radio and broadcast television, not cable or streaming, that says if a show has a candidate on during an election, they have to have all that candidate's opponents on as well.
So their gripe is with, it's a rule, but we've been allowed to be pieces of shit for so long, and now they're saying you can't just be pieces of shit. And even in this case, they're saying you can't be a piece of shit, you have to host another Democrat, and we're like, So, you know, this kind of falls in line. I look at this the way that we look at a lot of the race hoaxes. And I actually want to put together an updated list with that. Remember, there was Poop Swastika, there was Jussie Smollett, there was the UVA hoax, there was the Rolling Stone hoax, there was the Duke Lacrosse, there was NASCAR, Bubba Wallace, Mattress Girl, so many, right? They almost always prove to be fake. If it seems like it's fake, it's probably fake. This is just another form of a political stunt, what Colbert pulled. It's fake, it's based on a lie, and the good news is for people like Colbert, a dying breed, figuratively, the stunt doesn't have to be rooted in truth to be successful. You just have to be lucky enough that people have moved on before the truth reveals itself. That's what they were banking on. Colbert, James Talarico, it was all a political stunt.
Yep.
The basis for it were flat out lies. It's time for Claim Truth. Check the references out. We'll go through each claim that has been made because they consistently move the goalposts. The first claim that you heard with this story, right? This is how we all were introduced to it. CBS, the suits at CBS, they stopped Colbert from airing this interview with Texas Senate candidate James Talarico, who we've covered.
You know who is not one of my guests tonight? That's Texas State Representative James Talarico. He was supposed to be here, but we were told in no uncertain terms by our network's lawyers, who called us directly, that we could not have him on the broadcast. Then I was told in some uncertain terms that not only could I not have him on, I could not mention me not having him on.
None of which happened.
And because my network clearly doesn't want us to talk about this, let's talk about this.
Yeah. Oh, Colbert's such a rebel, broadcasting from his tub at home for 8 months because of a germ that could give him a cold.
Supposed to take your clothes off, bud.
Yeah.
Don't do that in that tub.
We were here, and our budget is less than his salary. But, you know, he's going to stick it to the man. He takes the check.
Oh, yeah.
And Talarico, by the way, he takes the check and then goes...
That's the best part. Is like, I'll show them. They pay me millions.
Yeah, well, that's how you know it's not true, because if it was true, he'd be in trouble for it. Talarico decided to sort of double down on this, and he quips that Trump was afraid that this man, this pussy, would turn Texas blue.
FCC opening probe into The View after appearance by Talarico. Do you mean to cause trouble?
I think that Donald Trump is worried that we're about to flip Texas.
Still going through puberty.
I'm like Beto O'Rourke, only gayer.
Now, this guy's evil, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I love a crowd of people that aren't from Texas cheering about what's going on in Texas.
Yeah, we don't want anyone. We don't want anyone to not share our views. We have to eradicate it. It's the unbearable whiteness of being. Here's the truth. CBS didn't stop Colbert from doing anything. Okay, and this is according to CBS via Brian Stelter, who I hate to cite. But he wrote, The Late...
He really said that?
Yeah. He wrote, The Late Show was not, by the way, completely straight. The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting the interview with Representative James Talarico. The show has provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for 2 other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. The Late Show, Caps, decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. And I love brunching with my wife's hot bod.
When Brian Stelter comes out and says you just lied, that's pretty bad on the left.
Although also he probably has an interest in CBS not doing all that well.
Yeah, it's true.
This was also corroborated by fake Ebonics speaker Jasmine Crockett herself.
We did receive information suggesting that the federal government did not shut down this segment, number one. That is my understanding, that the federal government didn't shut this down. It is our understanding that Colbert, either Mr. Colbert or CBS, decided to make the schedule available. And this was because of a fear that the FCC may say something to them, and that there may have been advice to just have me on, and then they could clear the issue.
Two things. One, in this case, it's very important that you understand equal time, as we're referring to it, would mean two Democrats. Would mean if you have Talarico on, right? It's a Democratic primary. You'd have to have his opponent on, Jasmine Crockett. Two, have you noticed that we always see a bunch of shotgun and boom mics, yet none of them are used in these videos? Like, why have the mics? Are they just props?
They got to find the guy that actually used it.
They're just going to take off the muff and it's a hoagie? I just did all the time. It's like we never actually find the footage with the audio.
They can't find the gain, I guess.
Yeah. So,
hey, Gerald, remember when you did that? You took off the muff and found a hoagie? Whoa.
The unbearable hoaginess of being.
I don't.
So, two Democrats. Equal time would be two Democrats, which means, just like they kind of did with Bernie, those in power in the left, people like Colbert, right? They go to cocktail parties with these folks. They want to put their thumb on the scales for the most electable candidate. Let's be clear about what's going on. This story in no way involves a Republican or the necessity to host one therein. Here's the next claim. And I don't even, and by the way, I'll just sort of shortcut to the truth. What he says exists nowhere, just to let you know. But he makes the claim that shows like his talk shows are somehow exempt from the equal time, equal opportunities rule. Of course, it's not true.
You might have heard of this thing called the equal time rule, okay? It's an old FCC rule that applies only to radio and broadcast television, not cable or streaming, that says if a show has a candidate on during an election, they have to have all that candidate's opponents on as well. It's the FCC's most time-honored rule. On January 21st of this year, a letter was released by FCC chairman and smug bowling pin Brendan Carr. In this letter, Carr said he was thinking about dropping the exception for talk shows because he said some of them were motivated by partisan purposes. Well, sir, you're chairman of the FCC, so FCCU.
Great. Needs more show tunes.
It's like he was cursing.
I know, yeah. But he's not going to curse because then his checks won't cash. So
no, but he's tough. That's the point.
He's tough. He's a rebel. Here's the truth. There's just never been any type of a formal exception for talk shows.
Nope.
Just so you know. It's not a thing.
It's not. No.
Also, he's on broadcast.
Yes, he is on broadcast as well.
He kind of sold it like he's on cable or something.
Right. If it's free, especially if it's carried by your local, affiliate syndicated, that's broadcast. It's usually some form or another of public broadcast. There's no exception.
The word broadcast is in the name.
Yeah, it is.
Broadcasting. Central. What is it? I don't know.
Broadcasting.
It's CBS. There's broadcasting's B.
Stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Columbia Broadcasting System.
We know about it.
Let me read this to you. So, according to the FCC, importantly, the FCC has not been presented with any evidence that the interview portion of any late night or daytime television talk show program on air presently would qualify for the bona fide news exception.
Oops.
So the exception is for like a bona fide news show, meaning it's a news where it's a story being covered for its newsworthiness, not giving a platform. So none whatsoever. They checked. Moreover, a program that is motivated by partisan purposes, for example, would not be entitled to an exemption under long-standing FCC precedent. And here's the thing. I know Stephen Colbert will try and tell you, like, this is not biased. This doesn't have any type of agenda. This is just comedy. I present to you Vaccine. That was propaganda, poorly done, mind you, poorly done to try and get people in line with a policy proposed by the Democratic Party. Does anyone actually want to argue that Stephen Colbert is unbiased and objective? And just so you know how clear this is about two Democrats. Does anyone actually want to make the case that in national elections, and not just that, but in between the national elections, they weren't painting an incredibly dishonest, but certainly, that could be opinion, biased picture and presentation toward Donald Trump?
Yeah.
In comparison to having a beer with Kamala Harris? Like, they have no leg to stand on. This is about control. This is about being able to propagandize the American public, and they don't like that in this case, the rule would simply say, well, you have to host Talarico's. I know she can't win. I know nobody likes her, but you do have to show the Democratic Party, warts and all, have Crockett on. That's what this is about.
Yeah, and so basically, I just want to make sure I have the tally correct. So far, we have Brian Stelter saying they're lying. We now have Jasmine Crockett saying that they're lying, and the FCC saying that they're lying.
Right.
Is anybody on their side on this?
Colbert.
Oh. Well, he's already there.
Colbert and
Talarico.
The apostate
Talarico says it as well, yes.
The heretic?
Evil man.
And
Talarico, the heretic.
And a lot of people who just watch Colbert.
Heretic?
Well, I'm being generous with the term a lot.
Dozens.
I mean, also just think about this, too. It starts before that with the hand-picking of Colbert and Kimmel and Fallon. Look, wherever you line up, Jay Leno, you look at Jay Leno and you look at David Letterman. Okay, there's a whole documentary on this, the sort of wars, them wanting to take Carson's seat. Leno was the most prolific stand-up comic in the country at that point, certainly amongst them. Right? He was a guy who'd been doing stand-up non-stop. He was very well respected. He was very well known. He had done many sets, I think close to, if not the most sets on Johnny Carson's show. David Letterman was known as a very subversive sort of avant-garde comedian who was very funny as a person and a funny interviewer. In other words, you did pick two of the best. Joan Rivers was in that mix too. She was definitely the most notable female comedian. These were people who were beloved and selected by the public, and that's why it was kind of a judgment call. Anyone want to argue that Jimmy Fallon was the best guy for that job? Anyone want to argue that Colbert was the guy people were clamoring for? Yeah. These were people who they knew would take a check, not rock the boat too much, and toe the Democratic line. That's why they're not there because they're the best. That itself shows you the bias.
Speaking of the best, right now on CNN, talking about this very thing. Oh, the best.
Stelter. Let's watch what he said. Completely straight. Just listen.
Views these rules as a way to target broadcast networks and, frankly, to target liberal shows that are critical of President Trump. Now, Carr, he's going to hold a press conference later today. He might say that he is simply following what Congress intended many decades ago. But as a practical matter, networks and local stations, they have been they've been aware for decades that these rules have not been taken very seriously, that there are not major
No, thank God for you guys.
Happening. So Carr came out
allowed
and
you to
said
be propaganda networks.
He said he's going to take these rules seriously. And then a couple of weeks ago, the FCC sent a letter to ABC over a possible violation of equal time rules at The View. So CBS, knowing about that letter at ABC, was more skittish as a result, and that's why the CBS lawyers called Colbert. So you have a situation where the Trump administration's pressure against these stations is clearly being felt at ABC and at CBS.
Over Democrat primaries.
All right, you're right.
So hold on a second. Let me make sure I get this clear. Now, the results are already in. Legacy media is dying. And by the way, it's dying because even liberals don't trust legacy media and legacy broadcast. So it's saying, so technically it's the rule, but obviously it hasn't been enforced. Yeah, I know. We could tell no side effects to the vaccine. We could tell freest and most secure, fair election of all time. We could tell banned if you say that children aren't at risk of COVID in comparison to the flu, relatively speaking. We could tell lockdown. We could tell no acknowledgement of Taiwan. We could tell never discussing the idea until Jon Stewart did, to his credit, that COVID maybe didn't come from a wet market with a bat. We could tell when you simply covered one side of the abortion debate. We could tell hosting transgender individuals and simply changing the the dead naming policy at your network. We could tell through every single issue that you have covered for a very long time, it has been propaganda. We could tell Hunter Biden laptop, Russian disinformation, which, by the way, itself would have changed the outcome of the 2020 election. You don't need anything else, but it's not the only thing. We could tell. So their gripe is with, it's a rule, but we've been allowed to be pieces of shit for so long, and now they're saying you can't just be pieces of shit. And even in this case, they're saying you can't be a piece of shit. You have to host another Democrat. And we're like, This is their argument. It's just like they say, well, sure, it's the law, but shouldn't people be allowed to steal as long as it's under $999? No. We know it's the rule, but shouldn't we be allowed to include information that has no basis? No. No. No, you shouldn't. How about that? Do you have any idea how quickly the left, when they saw Rush Limbaugh, by the way, he died 5 years ago, I believe it was yesterday, 2 days ago, rest in peace. Rush Limbaugh took a dead medium, AM radio, because no one would want to have him on broadcast television or even cable at that point in time. He single-handedly revived it, where it became valuable, and it created a whole new industry of conservative talk radio. At this point, there really was no AM, not of significance. It was television, and you had FM radio. Had a resurgence because no one wanted it. And the left said, oh my God, we have ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNBC, and we have all of Hollywood and the rest of mainstream media. Back then it was just mainstream media. But we don't have AM radio, fairness doctrine, equal time. They pushed that. You had Air America with Janine Garofalo and Al Franken and a few other shows, and it failed miserably.
Yeah.
They just can't stand any platform where they don't have complete control. We'll get to YouTube in a second and how how Colbert's staff themselves abuse it. They can't handle criticism on YouTube, so they lawyer up. They can't think of how long they attacked Fox News. They go, oh yeah, the media's biased. Yeah, how about Fox News? That's one amongst all of them. You couldn't let us have AM radio, and then you couldn't let conservatives have YouTube. Got it. Because you guys are about fairness. Here's the next claim that they make. This is just really quick. It's complete BS. That Crockett already had her equal time. Look, here's a picture.
The show has provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for 2 other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. Now, clearly, this statement was written by, and I'm guessing, 4 lawyers. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't want to tell them how to do their jobs. But since they seem intent on telling me how to do mine, here we go.
Fellas.
I am well aware that we can book other guests. I didn't need to be presented with that option. I've had Jasmine Crockett on my show twice. I could prove that to you. I could prove that to you, but the network won't let me show you her picture without including her opponents. So I'll have to show you this picture of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein instead. They made me do it.
All right. Here's the truth. Crockett didn't announce her Senate candidacy until December of last year, and she hadn't been on since May of that year, 2025. So none of that is true. And of course, just to be clear, this is not because Jasmine Crockett is a black woman. That's been going around. He just actually had a black woman on the show for Black History Month for the first time in a while, just last week. So, yeah, he did okay.
That's not.
Here's the next claim that they make, and this is what they do. They claim to be a victim while they are bullying. That is what the left does. That's probably their biggest or the most effective tool at their disposal. They try to convince you that this is Trump, mean, bad, fascist Trump, who we've bashed since 2016, consequence-free, outside of a few lawsuits where it was really egregious. See, we're the victim of big, bad, fascist Trump intimidating the alternative opposition media.
Because I think you are motivated by partisan purposes yourself. Sir, you smelt it because you dealt it. You are Dutch ovening America's airwaves. Let's just call this what it is. Donald Trump's administration wants to silence anyone who says anything bad about Trump on TV because all Trump does is watch TV.
Then why didn't they silence your monologue before that or any other one of your punchlines from this week or last week or the last 5 years? Why didn't it was just a guess where you tried to affect an election in Texas? And so you had to host another Democrat. And here's the truth. This is absolute projection. We're the victim. Look, come on. We're the ones that are being silenced. One of the worst offenders, Colbert and his staff, they have hit us with no less than 7 bullshit copyright claims on YouTube, including, by the way, just roasting the vaccine sketch, which may not even be available for public view. It is not within the line of legal precedent, to be clear. It is not how the copyright claim process is supposed to work. And one could argue that the copyright claim process on YouTube, which used to follow the law, changed in order to cater to these giant corporations who spend millions in advertising. It used to be on YouTube that if Colbert issued a copyright claim, you would say, no, this is actually, obviously, this is fair use because we're criticizing something because of its newsworthiness. And then it would be released until they decided to file a suit. That was the standard, where it was publicly available.
Right.
Now it changes to Colbert, copyright claim, and it removes your video or blocks it or geo-blocks it, depending on the country, and you have to sue them to prove your basic rights in order to reach your audience. 7 claims. And by the way, it would be higher if we didn't cover Colbert less, because we know that the entire show will be blocked while he claims to be a victim and silenced at $12 million a year, I believe, is his salary.
Something around there. I just want to make sure I understand his claim. His claim is that Donald Trump is afraid of people going on air and saying bad things about him, and that's why he didn't want this episode to be aired, right? So first off, he didn't say the episode, or his FCC didn't say that the episode couldn't be aired. It said you'd had to bring more people on. Who are those other people? That's right, Jasmine Crockett. So essentially what the FCC did is said, hey, put more people on air that don't like Donald Trump and will say bad things about him. It's completely bullcrap, and they all know it, including James Talarico, who probably forgot the lying lips are an abomination to the Lord in Proverbs line when you want to quote the Bible about stuff. Look it up, James.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't read the Bible.
No, of course not. He just says he did. So this is what the left does. They cry bully. It's a term, but it's a very real thing. The unbearable whiteness of being. Vermont is too white. Oat milk is too white, right? And then they go, what do you, you sound like a racist when you go, I'm white, but that doesn't make me bad. What do you mean by that? Right now they go, we're being silenced. You hit another copyright strike on an independent creator? Yeah. We're being silenced. Can we just trash all Republicans and the half of this country that elects presidents every single night? Yeah. Oh, I can't believe we're standing up for the people. Can we just hand us the papers and we'll be sure to advocate for lockdowns? And vaccine mandates, absolutely. But we'll do a nice Broadway musical number about it. While they accuse you of victimizing them, they bitch about the algorithm online and then use the algorithm online on YouTube with this segment to push their preferred candidate. Now, the reason, the spirit, to bring this all back, the spirit of these rules or guidelines from the FCC is to ensure that 5 companies, at one point 3 networks, 3 companies on Earth don't determine every single political race by using their might and platform to tip the scales. That was the spirit behind it. Here's why. This morning, Talarico just announced that his campaign raised $2.5 million since the interview was banned. Well. $2.5 million. That goes a long way in a local race.
Pull that back up. I want to read his quote, because this man is out there quoting the Bible, saying that it's absolutely being applied incorrectly and that the Democrat Party should have a corner on Christianity. Breaking his personal account. Our campaign raised $2.5 million in 24 hours. Okay, that's all fine. After the FCC banned our Colbert interview. That's lying. That's not true at all. I guess you're qualified to be a politician.
Yep.
Ooh, nice one.
The reason for the guidelines, the reason for the rules, specifically as it relates to political candidates, is so exactly what happened is not what happens. That's why. And they lied about all of it. And that also, by the way, we actually now look at the odds of Talarico winning the Democratic nomination. Kalshi has the odds. He's at 77%, and Crockett is at 24%.
He's gone up a lot.
I can't stand Crockett.
Well, he just juiced the numbers of $2.5 million.
Well, here's the thing. Crockett was tied or leading in most polls, but now her chances have gone up because, boy, those coffers are full.
Right. Well, polls versus the prediction markets. And the prediction markets tend to get these things a little bit more right, I think, than polling does, because money's on the line. But if you looked at the lines, Talarico shot up considerably. I think CNN was talking about our favorite Harry Ensign. Boom! He went to the moon. Talking about Talarico's chances after this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They are always the victim. Of course, I know you may think.
It's part of the strategy to be the victim. Mm-hmm. And we see it time and time again.
Yep.
It's part of the strategy. Oh, here's what we'll do. We'll say that we're being censored, and that'll spark people, because that's the First Amendment. We can't be censored over opinions,
Yeah.
So that'll get us some sympathy, and then you'll raise, $2.5 million. That's pretty good. Boom.
Right. Yep.
Plan worked perfectly.
And then they'll accuse you where we're like, well, actually, we followed all the guidelines when we were on YouTube, and you demonetized us anyway. You created a whole new set of rules. There was a concerted media effort. They go, oh, you're just rage baiting. Your speech is free. You're not free to say it wherever you want. Okay. You first, dummy.
It's the same reason dumb broads who are running for Congress in Illinois are showing up to ICE riots and trying to get through their lines and pushing them, and then being thrown on the ground and being like, oh, they hurt me because I'm on your side.
Yeah, I know. What the good news is that sometimes when they go out there and they protest violently, they get shot in the face. Don't hit an officer. Oh, too much. Don't hit an officer with your car. Wop, 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 wop. Fuck off. I kicked out an officer's taillight and all I got was this casket. I don't care. I don't care. I don't like you and I don't want you around anymore because you are a harm to society and you benefit the rest of the civilized world zero. If it's not based in some kind of truth, sorry, my empathy now goes out the window. When there's a pattern, a lifelong pattern of lying, I despise you more than a worthy opponent. Okay? I don't care. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.